Aaron Judge against the Toronto Blue Jays. Not the Red Sox, not the Rays, but the Blue Jays. Hits number 61 later in the innings. You see the sigh of relief for Aaron Judge because he's been really stressing, trying to pull the ball. That's something that he does not like to do. This is a man that baseball wants to see break the record. He's very well respected around the league. He is the face of baseball right now. Everybody keeps talking about Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper. This man is the face of baseball. 6'7", 280-pound Goliath who hit 61 home runs this year, could be 62. He's on his way of possibly winning a Triple Crown and having one of the greatest regular seasons we have ever seen. What we have seen over the last couple of years, watching Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, baseball is looking for that next big power hitter. The guy that not only hits for power, hits for average, RBIs, and slugging percentage. Over this era, there's 4 guys, Alex Rodriguez being one of them. This has been a very impressive season for the great Aaron Judge. Now, if he doesn't break 62, is it a lost season? I would say not. He doesn't care about these records. He cares about winning championships. And going into the offseason, he could be not a Yankee because he could decide to opt away from the New York Yankees organization and go elsewhere to maybe the Boston Red Sox or the San Francisco Giants. Aaron Judge is what the Yankees preach. Aaron Judge is what the Yankees are. They are a machine. They've been a machine, an organization in professional sports for decades. We talk about Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Thurman Munson, Don Mattingly, Derek Jeter, Yogi Berra, some of the greatest baseball players to ever play the game. And this man, who was drafted in the first round, yes, but not in the top 10, in the 20s, was passed up by 20 different teams. This is an impressive year, not only for the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge, who really carried the New York Yankees throughout this season. And the Yankees right now are American League East champions. And without Aaron Judge, they don't win the division. They don't even make the playoffs. When you look at what he has done, when you look at the numbers, and he leads the league in about 12 different statistics, which if you look at the greatest seasons of all time, he is amongst those great seasons. It is a special year. To win a Triple Crown and break the home run record in the American League, not only is that special, it's revolutionary. It's everything that you want a Yankee, a baseball player that stands for one thing, team baseball, team concept. That's what you want to see. And that's why this is not only impressive, it's special, not only for the Yankees organization, but for Major League Baseball.
You're looking at a complete season. Hitting numbers are off the charts. 61 home runs, 130 RBIs, 108 walks, OPS 1.122, which is the highest of the StatCast era. He also has 16 stolen bases. He's also played very good center field, carrying this Yankees offense in the second half when, honestly, the Yankees offense has had the slumps of their own. But they won the division and played very well down the stretch. Aaron Judge, yes, he was trying to swing for the record at this point, and he got walked a lot, but he finally did it. Now he has that monkey off his back. And when you're judging the home run seasons of all time, yes, this is the best one now without having the use of the steroids. You talked about the steroid era. I know you say it's not a big deal for baseball, which is fine, but if Aaron Judge was taking steroids, you probably add 10 home runs to his total. You're looking at 71. You're looking at that same kind of season. It's a very historic season for Aaron Judge. Absolutely is the MVP. Absolutely is the face of baseball right now. And I know Major League Baseball definitely loves the fact that it's happening for a New York team, a team as accomplished, as historic as the Yankees are.
It is very special. And for Aaron Judge to do it in Yankee Stadium would be even more special. And this weekend with Baltimore and Texas, I would love to see him break the home run record in Yankee Stadium. Nobody wants to see him do it in Toronto or Boston, even though it would be funny if he did it in Boston.
That's what all Yankee fans were hoping for at this time last week.
But you want to see it in Yankee Stadium. The house that Judge built, not Jeter, not anybody else, even though Jeter was the captain when that stadium was built. But the Yankees right now are playing pretty good baseball. They're going into the series against Baltimore, and then they have Texas. I expect the Yankees and Aaron Judge to push forward, try to win as many games as they possibly can. They're not catching Houston, but the only time they're going to have to see Houston is in the American League Championship. I don't think they have to worry about Houston, even though they don't play very well in Houston. And we have seen this over the last 5 years. It's been a huge problem for the New York Yankees, a horrible problem beating Justin Verlander, and they'll probably have to see him at least twice in the American League Championship Series. So it's going to be interesting where the Yankees are and how Aaron Boone tries to set up this roster, because all these guys are getting healthy at the right time. DJ LeMahieu came back on Friday night. Benintendi is coming back. Carpenter's coming back. Oswald Cabrera has played fantastic. He's been as good as Aaron Judge has been the last 2 weeks. So are you going to take him out of the lineup? How are they going to sit this guy out? He has been as hot a hitter as anybody in baseball right now. He's batting like 350 something in the last 2.5 weeks. He's hit 5 home runs, and he's a great defender. He can play second base. He can play the outfield. He can play third base. The only position he can't play is probably pitching and catching. Aaron Hicks is starting to hit too. So do you keep him in the lineup? It's going to be very interesting how Aaron Boone tries to set up this roster for the divisional against either Cleveland or Seattle. I wouldn't want to be Aaron Boone, and I wouldn't want to be Brian Cashman, because if you make the wrong mistake and you don't pick the right guy on this roster for that particular series and they get knocked out, a lot of fans are not going to be very happy.
It's the interesting dilemma of, do you trust your bullpen enough to be able to not have to add more pitchers like they did in the beginning of the season? Because there were plenty of guys that were locked down then, but there were plenty of hitters that came up and had instant impacts outside of Aaron Judge, really carried the lineup when the veteran guys were hurt. Do you play the guys that have been trustworthy for you for much of the season in that bullpen? Because most American League teams do tend to do more pitchers than hitters just because of the DH in the past, but now it's universal, especially with all the relief pitching injuries that they've had. Yeah, that's going to be a tough decision. Aaron Boone, who many Yankee fans don't like as it is, this is a big year for him.
And then there's the Mets. And I could say a lot of things about the New York Mets. What we have seen over the last couple of weeks is problems with the lineup. They cannot hit in certain stints, and they better hope that this doesn't happen during the playoffs, because if it does, the Mets could be eliminated very, very shortly. I do believe the Mets will win this division, no matter how well the Braves have played them and will play them in this series throughout the weekend. I just think the Mets are a better team. I think they have the better pitching. But in the playoffs, I don't know if the Mets are better. We know what the Braves are. We've seen the Braves win a championship last year. It's a different team. This is not the same Braves team. They don't have Freeman there. They don't have the outfielders they made trades for at the trade deadline last year. They do have pieces like Acuna, who didn't play last year, who's one of the better center fielders in all of baseball. Albies is back. This team is going to be as dangerous as they were last year, maybe even more dangerous because of their bullpen. So the Mets have a lot to be ready for in the playoffs, because they aren't the hunting. They're the hunted. The Braves are hunting for them for the division. The Dodgers know what they're all about, starting pitching with Bassett, Scherzer, and DeGrom. DeGrom hasn't pitched well in his last 2 games. Does that mean he's not going to pitch well in the playoffs? I think you could trust DeGrom out of all these pitchers on the Mets because he has the best stuff. Hey, you're going to say, well, we have Max Scherzer, we have DeGrom. We're going to go all the way. Nobody is scared of the New York Mets. Not with that lineup. They have 2 players in that lineup that is actually hitting right now. And that's scary when you're going into the playoffs and you have all these powerhouse teams like the Dodgers, like the Cardinals. Look at the middle of that lineup. Like the Braves in the middle of that lineup. And even the teams that are trying to squeak in, a.k.a. the San Diego Padres. They might not have a very deep lineup either, but they have 2 of the best hitters in baseball in the middle of that lineup.
But their lineup's like the Mets, too, where they have guys that are definitely capable of doing it. They're just all streaky this year. So they're definitely one to watch out for, too. I was all on the Padres at the beginning of the season, bouncing back because they had a very bad second-half collapse like the Mets. If both of those teams, the Padres and the Mets, could get some kind of consistency with their hitters, they could definitely be dangerous because both of them have great pitching and both of them have great star power. I would say the Padres have the better bullpen. But looking at the Braves, they're differently structured than they were last year. They're much more reliant on their young pitching and their bullpen. Max Fried is a Cy Young candidate again this year. Kyle Wright's been a nice young pitcher for them too. And then Spencer Strider, who just got hurt, was pitching really well for them this year. But
he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball.
So you're judging a lot of how these guys can come back from injuries too. Same kind of thing with Albies. He'll be back for the postseason. Hasn't played in the regular season in over 3 months. We'll see if he's a little rusty coming back.
It's still a scary bat.
Definitely
in that
a bat,
lineup.
a switch hitter that is going to be very hard to pitch around and still going to create opportunities for everybody else too. Just his presence alone with Riley and Swanson and the rest of that infield too. The outfielders, they're younger now with Michael Harris. They're not all the same 3 trade deadline acquisitions are gone. Rosario's still there, but hasn't been great coming back from his injury, and then the other 2 are gone anyway. But again, differently structured team. That doesn't mean they can't do it either. But if the Mets definitely can seize the division, it would be ideal because of the injuries that they're dealing with right now.
You want home field advantage.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to play the Braves if they come out of the wild card series. They want to make sure that they have home field advantage. And right now, the best team in baseball is the Dodgers. They have the best record. They have the best overall team. But the Dodgers have deficiencies too. They lost 2 starters early in the season. They're really crawling into the playoffs as well. So it's going to be very interesting. The National League is so much more fun to watch than the American League because you know who the 2 best teams in the American League is. You're not blinded to see. It's the Yankees and the Houston Astros. But in the National League, it could go 4 different ways. And even though the Dodgers have the best record, I think Atlanta's is just as good as the Dodgers. I think at some points this year, the Mets have been. The Cardinals have been as hot as any team in baseball. And even the Padres. I don't think anybody wants to play the Padres in a wild card game. Not with that pitching staff, and even with Machado and Soto. And we have seen Soto carry a team all the way into the World Series and win the World Series by himself, carry an offense. Don't be shy to think that Soto can't do it with the Padres.
I know the Padres have been down, but if you want to compare this Padres lineup to the lineup that Soto carried with the Nationals, the Padres still have just as much, if not more, talent even with the depth, too, and a better manager, too, Bob Melvin, who, yeah, he's had his postseason woes with the Athletics, but who hasn't had their postseason woes with the Athletics?